All right, everybody. Welcome to our UFC 249 breakdown. We are the gentlemen. This is the podcast. Gary, Pete, Brian, Eddie, we are here to break down tonight's fights. Before I start, please remember to subscribe to the channel and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Tonight, we're going to break down the fights, give you our picks for every fight. We're going to give you our locks and underdog picks of the night. And we're going to give you the gentleman's parlay of the night. So, Brian, kick it off with the first fight.
All right, guys. So overall, this card is absolutely stacked from top to bottom. The first fight on the early prelims, which is on ESPN Plus, is Ryan Spann versus Sam Alvey. Smiling Sam Alvey. So this fight, I feel Sam Alvey's a little mismatched. I have Spann winning. The guy's on a 7-fight win streak. He lost originally. He was on a contender series, and ever since then, the guy's been on a complete roll. So I have Spann winning this fight. Eddie?
Yeah, I got Spann winning as well, only because, stating the obvious, he's got momentum from his last couple fights. I'll just go with the smart pick on this one.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that, on both of you. Spann has a lot of momentum. He's coming off several wins. And Alvey's just he's kind of a career journeyman. He's towards the end of his career. Spann is up and coming, and I think he takes this one pretty easily. He might finish the fight, but if not, it's going to be pretty easily.
Yeah, I got Spann also. He's got a good ground game. Also, with that, he has knocked out Little Nog in the past, so look out for that. So I got Spann. I think he's going to run through Alvey, honestly. A little fun fact about Alvey, by the way. His wife corners him and watches film with him. So a little fun fact for him, but I got Spann. I got Spann's second round submission.
Yeah, listen, I think most people like Sam Alvey. He's a great guy, gentlemen, but he's a little mismatched in this fight. So the second fight on the early prelims, we have Bryce Mitchell versus Charles Rosa. So for this fight, I have Mitchell by sub.
Ooh,
yeah,
really?
I do. I think I just think that if it goes to the ground, Mitchell he's gonna win. His submission game is very good. Rosa has lost to fighters who aren't as good as Mitchell. So it's just, I don't know. To me, it's pretty clear. I don't know why I see it, but I see it going in Mitchell's favor.
Well, it's funny you say that, Bri. Mitchell certainly has a great ground game, but Rosa is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I'm pretty sure Mitchell is a brown belt, so he's not quite on Rosa's level. And Rosa's no slouch on the ground. He's a veteran. He's been in a lot of fights. He's been there before. And I've been personally going back and forth between, either Mitchell or Rosa. Rosa is the underdog. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have to go with the one who has a little more momentum behind him, the younger fighter, the hungrier fighter right now. And just like you, I'm going with Mitchell. Gary, what do you think?
I'm going with Mitchell also. I think this can be a fight of the night candidate. Mitchell last year had the twister submission. Yeah, the submission of 2019, arguably. Rosa hasn't fought in a while. He hasn't fought in, I think, 2.5 years, if I'm correct. So I think it's going to be an exciting fight. It's going to be up and down. I have Mitchell just because I think he's going to be, like Pete said, a little more hungrier. So I'm leaning with Mitchell by decision. Eddie?
It is a pretty close fight, considering, they're pretty similar in many, the obvious type of things, such as the record-wise, height, weight, the reach, the leg reach, and all that. It is pretty tough. It is going to be pretty tough. Doug Nasty Bryce Mitchell really does, he does have a lot of momentum on his side, but I think on this one, I'm going to go, and God forgive me for saying this, but I think I'm going to go Boston Strong on Rosa with this.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
I like it.
First one. He's a lone wolf on this one.
An Aristocat, huh?
All right.
It's not a bad underdog pick. It's really not a bad pick, but
No, not at all. But
that's pick and fight.
Since we're on the topic of underdog picks, this next fight is my underdog pick for the card. We have Vicente Luque versus Nico Price. Now, this is actually a rematch. Luque actually beat Nico Price by submission with a Darce. That was in October of 2017. And since then, he's been on a 5-fight win streak, and he lost recently to Stephen Thompson. However, Nico Price, this guy is very unpredictable when he's under pressure, when he's on the bottom. He has up kicks. He knocks people out from the bottom position, which is it's unheard of. He's very unorthodox, and the guy has power. I'm going Nico Price, and that's my underdog pick for this card.
Wow. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot.
Not bad, Brian. Not bad.
You know, Nico Price, definitely a great underdog to pick. You know, but Vicente Luque, he's not a bad fighter. He's actually pretty damn good. You know, he throws the blocks. He has really heavy hands. He's decent on the ground game as well. And I feel like he also, even though he lost to Wonder Boy not too long ago, you know, he still has a lot of positive momentum behind him. You know, anything can happen in this fight. I think it's going to be an absolute war. You know, they're going to be throwing bombs left and right. So something crazy might end up happening, but I'm going to have to go with my gut, and I'm going with Vicente Luque. He's going to pull it out once again.
That's a good choice. And also, this is possibly fight of the night as well. Yeah. I see this fight being absolutely crazy. I really do.
It's funny. When I was going through all the fights, like I kept telling myself in my head, oh, this fight could be fight of the night. No, this fight could be fight of the night. Every fight could be fight of the night. It's crazy.
It's true.
As we go on with the card. I got Price by decision. Luque last fight took the fight on 11 days notice, so they're going to be more prepared this time. But I think this fight should be closer in the odds than it is. I don't think Nico Price is that big of an underdog in this fight. I think he's very unpredictable. If you're looking for a dog to take in this fight, I think this is a fight to look at just because of the odds. It's giving you good juice. But I like Nico Price in this fight.
Nice.
Not a bad pick, Gary. Really not. But you did say that if it does go to the cards, that Nico Price will be the victor.
That's how I think it's going to happen. I think Nico Price by decision.
I think if it goes to the cards, it's not going to go Price's way, actually. I actually think Price is going to need a KO regardless to save him on this one.
I agree with Eddie.
I mean, the card is pretty stacked. I mean, you legitimately have a bunch of brawlers, whether it's the early prelims, the prelims, and then the main card itself. My gut is leaning towards Luque for this one, only because, you know, after having a 6-fight win streak and then losing on November 2nd to Stephen Thompson, I think his pride will somehow snap him out of that. It's not going to be a long losing streak, so to say, but I got Luque on this one.
Just a reminder also, these first 3 fights will be on ESPN Plus.
ESPN Plus, yes.
If you want to catch them.
And that wraps up the early prelims. So 3 fights, very good fights at that. I mean, those can easily – I could see those fights on a main card. I got to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But that brings us to the regular prelims on ESPN. It's going to be on TV for free. Now, this card, now we're getting into the meat and the potatoes of this card. First up, we got Uriah Hall, New Yorker, against Ronaldo Jacare Souza. So, listen, it's obvious. Souza is a legend in the sport. The guy is incredible. He's been around for a while. He was in Strikeforce. Now he's in UFC. He's hit a bit of a rough patch more recently. I think it's the age that's getting to him. I really do. But the guy is still dangerous. If it goes to the ground, it's the ball's in his court, and he's going to be dunking. So, with that said, I think Uriah Hall, he's like a fine wine. He gets better with age. I really do think that. I have Hall by decision. I think that Souza is going to gas. I don't think he's going to be able to get him to the ground. I think this is the young man's fight. And Hall, his stand-up is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going with Hall by decision.
Well, everyone knows how much I like Uriah Hall. I've been a huge fan of him since the Ultimate Fighter days when he had that brutal knockout, almost killed somebody. And he never really amounted into the elite warrior that I thought he would be. I mean, he's a very inconsistent fighter. You never know which Uriah Hall you're going to get when he fights. He can be really bad or he can be really good. You never know. But on the other end, Jacare Souza is very old, past his prime. You know, he's tough as nails, though. Don't get me wrong. But I think he is going to gas. He's not going to be moving very well. And I think Uriah Hall is going to take advantage of that and finish this fight within the 3 rounds. He's going to finish it. So my pick is
Nice.
I'm going Jacare by decision. Now,
Wow.
the reason why is you look into Uriah Hall's last couple fights, he's been talking about how a couple of times he's been sitting on the stool and he thought about just quitting, and when he fights sometimes he's just not all there. And I think he just waits to land that. He's got so much skill and potential that he doesn't use it, and he waits to land that one shot, which he could very easily land on Jacare. Like Pete said, he's slowing down. I think Jacare is going to make this an ugly fight. I think he's going to just try to put him up against the cage, try to bring him down, and I think he's going to win this by decision. As exciting as an Uriah Hall fight could be, I think this fight has a potential not to be as exciting because I think Jacare is going to muck the fight up, try to just grapple with him or bring it to the ground. And he's desperate, Jacare. He lost 3 out of his last 4 fights, so this is a big fight for him. So I think Jacare wins by decision. I'm not confident about this pick. This was a fight I was back and forth on, but I think Jacare is going to – it's going to be one of those things where it's the striker in the grapple, and Jacare is going to just try to muck the fight up, and Uriah Hall's just going to look for that one punch. And Uriah Hall's a little bit of a head case, and if he gets in his own head, it could be downhill for him.
well.
He's his own worst enemy.
Yes.
Just to add on to what I was saying, I read an article saying that throughout this whole COVID-19 stuff, Uriah Hall has basically been living in a gym. You know, he rented out a gym. He's been living in it. He's been really taking this fight very seriously. So that leads me to believe that we might get a pretty good version of Uriah Hall showing up on Saturday night. So that gives me a little more confidence as well, and I think he takes it. But go ahead, Eddie. Let's hear what you think.
I think Uriah is going to be literally swinging for the fences come against Souza for sure. I mean, Lord knows I love my Jamaican rum. Lord knows. But I think I'm going to go with the Brazilian on this one, man. Ronaldo
Wow.
has this
Wow.
one. Ronaldo has this one. Like you said, Gary, considering 54% of the time, he's usually grappling and aiming for that submission hold. I mean,
Eddie with the stats. I like it.
Look at you.
yeah.
And
I'm going analytical here tonight, fellas. I'm going analytical.
Oh, you're one of those analytical guys. Oh, we gotta talk with
Listen,
OCA
I'm
about
really
this.
not. I'm really not. You know
Maddie.
me better than that, man. But you know, while Uriah does have a significant reach as far as his his arm reach, I still think Souza kind of embarrasses him a little bit in this one.
Oh.
Embarrassed. Wow. That's pretty bold, man.
Eddie's going for the shock and bolt factor tonight.
I think what it is Eddie's replaying Jacare versus Weidman in his head and how he embarrassed Weidman. I think that's what's happening here.
We know Eddie loves Weidman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll save that for another day.
Not in this lifetime.
That was back in the Muscle Maker Grill days.
Oh, man.
Shout out to Muscle Maker Grill.
Yeah, shout out to Muscle Maker.
Shout out to Chris Weidman.
The best thing they ever did was firing me. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Alrighty then.
That's
What's the next fight?
This podcast is not brought to you by Muscle Maker Grill. All right. So next fight we have Carla Esparza versus Michelle Waterson.
Oh, man.
All right. So I'm not going to lie. I was a bit confused going into this card, seeing that Waterson was an underdog. Now, that's not to put down Carla Esparza. She's tremendous. She was the first champ in that division. Her wrestling game is on point. She's an animal. That being said, when I hear the name Michelle Waterson, Karate Hottie, I just think
Beautiful name, by the way. Beautiful name.
I just
Beautiful
think
name.
elite fighter. I don't know why. She's all around. She's very, very talented. She got that ground game, multiple submissions. She can finish you. She goes, she'll outpoint you. The problem is she doesn't do well against top-notch competition, and it may be a confidence thing. I don't know, but the skill level is definitely there. I'm going Michelle Waterson. I really think she's going to beat Carla Esparza.
Wow, really?
I do.
What do you got? Submission?
What did I put here?
Well,
I have decision.
All right.
I have to agree with you on that one, Bry. Like you said, Carla Esparza, former champ, tough as nails. She's a type of fighter that's going to grab you and bring you to the ground and control you and try to bully you and wrestle you. And but that being said, she's seen better days.
Mm-hmm.
Time is coming up very shortly, and I feel like Waterson is, even though she's 34 years old or 33, whatever she is, I feel like she still hasn't hit her peak yet, and she's constantly improving. And her stand-up game is top-notch, getting even better. She's improving her submission game as well. She's an all-around great fighter. I'm just worried that she's going to get taken down a bunch of times and kind of just stalled by Esparza, and it's going to lead to a boring decision where Esparza wins 29-28 or something like that. But, being that Waterson is such a big underdog as far as betting odds go, I have to go with Waterson. She has so many more ways to win this fight. She's a finisher, and she's a big underdog. I like underdogs, and I'm taking Waterson to possibly finish this fight.
Mm-hmm.
I got Waterson by decision. Waterson was on a nice little roll before she lost to Joanna Jacek. And that's not something to be upset about. But she was on a nice little winning streak. I do fear that Esparza is going to try to take this down and muck the fight up, kind of like how I think Jacare is going to do against Uriah Hall. I think Waterson is skilled enough to keep the fight standing, pick her apart from the outside, and win a decision. That's how I think it's going to go. I would not be surprised if she finishes her, but I think Esparza is going to just try to make it a tough fight, and I think I got Waterson by decision. Eddie?
I think we all got a full house as far as the whole Waterson decision on this one.
Wow, first fight.
I think so, man. You can't go wrong with having a nickname, quote unquote, the Karate Hottie, man. It's just you got to trademark that shit, man. You really do. But all serious though, I mean, considering Esperanza, 53% of the time, it always goes to the cards, anyways. I mean, it has the ability to be a very boring fight, in my opinion, fellas. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
but
Eddie,
I'm gonna go with Waterson for this one.
Where are you getting these percentages from? 53%, 54%?
Look, I did my research at work, man. Come on, man. You guys are always
homework.
Are you consulting with your analytical team right now?
Yeah, no, not at the moment. Nah.
Where are they, by the way?
Nah. Well, I can't tell you that, man.
It's in J-Roll.
Where do they quarantine your analytical team?
In Eddie's bathroom.
Somewhere on City Island, man.
I mean, they're getting ready for fantasy sports soon.
Mm.
I heard.
Look forward to that.
I did hear Eddie's been using his analytical team for MLB The Show. So.
Oh no, that's all me. That's all me, baby. That's.
I don't know. I got my sources, and you know how good my sources are.
Well, yeah. Look what happened to KD and Kyrie. Let's not start this.
Yeah, this is the UFC pod, okay? Let's keep it UFC, guys.
The bodegas in East New York keep me informed.
Gary started that one. So,
anyways, so next fight is the first of two heavyweight fights on the card. We got Alexei Olenek versus Fabricio Verdum.
Verdum.
Yes. Now, in the beginning, when I first heard about this fight, I wasn't really sure. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, it's got to be Verdum. I have Verdum by TKO. So Olenek is very good on the ground. So is Verdum. However, he doesn't do well with close striking, like when Overeem fought him. So if Verdum gets him in the clinch, the knees, it's going to be over. The guy's gas tank is not good. He had that whole big issue in the Curtis Blades fight where he pretty much gave up, and he ended up losing the fight because he lied. Instead, he got kneed in the head when he was down. His gas tank is not good.
Shout out to Curtis Blades.
Shout out to Curtis Blades, friend of the pod. Verdum, this guy, we're talking about the guy who dethroned Fedor. We're talking about the guy who dethroned Cain Velasquez. This guy is an animal. And we're talking about someone who can throw, kicks, hands, and he can grapple like no other, honestly. In the heavyweight division, I mean, him and Frank Mir are like two of the top submission artists in the heavyweight division of all time.
Shout out to Frank Mir.
We're not doing that. And like I said,
we will, man. We will.
Olenek is great. He has those chokes from the bottom, but I got to go Verdum. I don't see it going any other way.
Yeah, man, you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. In the beginning, I was thinking about taking Olenek as a pretty heavy underdog, but then I came to my senses and I realized, how is Olenek going to win this fight? There's no possible way he could win this fight. I mean, submission-wise, Verdum is just as good, probably even better than him on the ground.
Yeah.
The numbers don't lie about that either, bro.
I don't want to hear percentages anymore.
And he's got the numbers right in front of him.
They're 53%.
62%? What is it? Anyway, before I was interrupted, so Verdum is a 1,000,000% better striker than Olenek. He's better on the ground, better gas tank. The only thing is he's off the juice now, which might play a little factor. I don't know if he's truly off of it or not. He might still be on it, but even if he's off of it, he's in a different league than Olenek. There's no way Verdum loses unless some fluke injury happens. And just like Brian, I also see Verdum TKOing Olenek probably in the first round.
Wow, first round.
Yeah.
That's a bold prediction right there.
I'll give you a bold prediction. I got Olenek, first round KO.
All right.
Come on. You got to beat that guy.
Guys.
Come on, man.
Good night.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Listen. I think they're both going to come out swinging. I think Olenek is going to avoid the clinch because he knows once he gets to the clinch, he's in trouble. But it just feels that legend coming back off the suspension from USADA. He's older. His shin was already starting to go. Olenek just fought in January, I believe. When did he fight? January, February? I just think he's going to catch him early. I think it's just going to be one of those fights. You can be like, what just happened? But I like Olenek in an upset.
Wow.
I mean,
wow. So you really went for the nostalgia effect.
Listen, if it wasn't the time off, it's just a bunch of things going against Verdum right now. Verdum's one of the all-time greats. You can make an argument he's one of the greatest heavyweights. He's the greatest heavyweight of all time. But I think I think he's gonna get caught.
So you think it's the ring rust?
Yeah, it's a little bit of the ring rust coming off of USADA, and he was already starting to get a little chinny as it was. So just a combination of both.
I did see a little rust in his last couple fights, though, man. But it wasn't so dramatic to the point where, first round knockout on this one, man. I don't see that shit happening not one bit, man.
Yeah. So what do you got, Eddie?
No, I got Verdum, man. Like Fabricio, man. Come on, man. I'm Team Brazil for this card, by the way, man. Like, I'm going real heavy. I mean, yeah, Olenek, he's got quite a few fights underneath his belt. I give you that.
What does the analytics team say about this fight, Eddie?
It has Fabricio winning that one. That's for sure.
All right.
It's got Fabricio. I mean, Olenek, yeah, he's all great and whatnot with the submission and whatnot, but like you said earlier, man, Fabricio, his grappling defense is pretty up there, man. So I'm gonna just go with him.
All right.
What we got next?
That brings us to the main event of the prelims on ESPN. What year is this, guys?
I believe it's 2020, but 2020 is also drunk, so everything goes this year.
Is that why it feels like it's 2012? Because we have Donald Cerrone and Anthony Pettis fighting each other.
I mean, we might as well have Ryan Faber in the main event.
Yeah.
And Miguel,
Dominic Cruz is fighting. What's going on?
We might as well have Miguel Torres somewhere in this card.
Hey, WEC,
Miguel Torres.
great organization.
I miss WEC. That was unbelievable.
The way this card is going, man. I mean, we got Verdum, we got Pettis, Cerrone, Cruz. I mean, what's going on? Anyways,
It's a little bit of everything.
It is. I like it. Donald Cerrone and Anthony Pettis. I had a lot of trouble with this one. I'm going to get right into it. I think Anthony Pettis is going to win. Cerrone's coming off of three losses. I love Cerrone, just like everyone does. The guy's a warrior. I mean, he fought 10 times in 2 years, I think it was, something crazy like that. The guy's a monster, and he went on a really nice win streak. But after these last 3 fights, the age is getting to him, I think. And I see Pettis. I see the fire in him again. And he already beat Cerrone once. I think he has his number. I don't think Cerrone's going to be able to figure out Pettis. He's too out there. He does crazy things, the kicks and everything. I got to go Pettis.
Yeah, man, this fight is pretty much a pick-em in my eyes. It's pretty close. They've both gone on pretty shitty stretches lately. I think Pettis has lost his last 3 out of his last 4 he's lost as well. Cerrone's lost 3 in a row. At the end of the day, Pettis has a lot less mileage. He's also a lot younger, and in my opinion, right now, quicker and more lethal when it comes to the striking game. So, it's a tough one to choose, but I'm just going to have to go with Pettis. There's not really much more I can say about it.
I'm going Pettis, first round knockout. Cerrone, if you watch his recent interviews, is broken. I think this is too soon for him to fight. You just hear the stuff he's saying, and he even said it going into that kind of fight. He wasn't there, and before he got the call for this fight, he was building his bar on his ranch, and I just think Cerrone is just doing this just to get in there, and just because that's the guy he is, and that's why the fans love him. But Pettis is too dynamic, and this is a must-win for both fighters. But I think Pettis needs this more. Cerrone, I think, is looking towards the end. Pettis is still trying to stay relevant, stay a contender. So I like Pettis in this by first round knockout. I don't think Cerrone's gonna get off to a fast start. I think he's just mentally not there.
I mean, for as long as Pettis has been around, he's still only 33 years old. So,
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Keep that in perspective, fellas, for sure. I mean, damn it, man. I'm a big Cowboy Cerrone type of guy myself, too. Last 3 fights, I haven't been all that lucky with my fucking predictions, so I think I'm going to go with Pettis on this one, man. I think I'm going to do that. I mean, yeah, they've been, practically BFFs ever since coming up from, together and whatnot. Considering Cerrone has lost his last 3 fights, he's clearly losing a lot of steam on his underneath his belt. So, I mean, I guess this is one of those kind of fights where the two of them, kind of have nothing to lose, but still want to just throw their hands out at each other real quick. As far as Pettis, he too also losing 2 in a row. At the same time, also switching between the lightweight and the welterweight divisions as well. So,
that's another big factor in this fight.
Good point.
There is certain factors to this one. But, I mean, again, fellas, I'm a big Cerrone fan, man. But I'm a not a first-round knockout, but he's going to get beat up, man. He's going to get beat up.
All right.
All right, guys.
That concludes the prelims. We'll be right back with the main card.
All right, guys, we are back. We broke down the prelims on ESPN Plus and ESPN. Now we're going to go on to the pay-per-view main card. It starts at 10 p.m. East Coast time. So now we're going to start it off, right?
All right. Now, again, these are on ESPN Plus, pay-per-view. the first fight, the second heavyweight fight on the card, we have Yorgan De Castro versus Eddie's favorite fighter, Greg Hardy. Now, this is going to be a crazy fight. So, Greg Hardy, this guy hits like a Mack truck. When he touches you, pretty much you go down. That being said, his gas tank is absolutely miserable. He has that no contest where he used his asthma pump in between rounds. I've never, ever seen that before. Gary, take it out.
Shout out to asthma.
Shout out to asthma.
Who has asthma?
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy.
He? Oh, okay.
He lost stuff. He got no contest because he used his pump between rounds.
Yeah, no, it was serious. So,
Oh my God.
all right, so let me get into it. I think Yorgan De Castro is going to absolutely pick him apart. So Greg Hardy is very one-dimensional. He has those hands, and that's about it. This guy, De Castro, his kicks are what's going to be the game changer in this fight. Not to mention he hits just as hard as Greg Hardy, but he's a little more technical. He's been around longer, obviously. Record isn't that tremendous, but he's on a roll, and I got to go with De Castro for this one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like you said, Greg Hardy is very one-dimensional, pretty much a striker who's going to try to knock you out. De Castro, a lot of people don't know this, but he has some of the most vicious leg kicks in the game, and Greg Hardy's never faced somebody with those types of leg kicks. So I think De Castro is going to come out utilizing those leg kicks pretty early, try to take out Hardy's legs to the point where he's unable to walk. And then at that point, he might go for the knockout and try to finish him. But it's definitely going to be a really entertaining fight. And I'm picking De Castro, the underdog, to win this. And he's also my underdog pick of the night. Yorgan De Castro is going to finish Greg Hardy.
I got De Castro by second round TKO. Pretty much like what everybody else said. He's going to pick him apart with the leg kicks. And I think it's going to be the thing about this fight, as exciting as it could start off, if it's not an early finish, we could be in for a long, drawn-out, Dada 5,000 Kimbo Slice decision. Not that the fight didn't go to decision, but just one of those fights because both their gas tanks aren't there. So this fight, if it does not end early, be ready to sit there and see two gas guys go. But I think De Castro is going to finish it early second round. I think it's going to be too much for Hardy. He's going to gas him out. He's going to just finish.
I agree with you, Gary. I mean, these have the potential to be two pretty big up and coming heavyweights, so to say.
Did you just say something nice about Greg Hardy?
I think he did.
What happened? What just happened here?
Come on, guys! Preach professionalism, man. Like, come on, man.
Tell us how you really feel.
That's not what you were saying. In the production meeting, you were not being this very nice to Greg Hardy.
Let me build it up, man. Let me build it up, man. But as I was saying, two heavyweights with potential as far as being in the UFC. Both are graduates off of the Contender Series. And this particular fight, while a lot of people would disagree with this, but it could be a slobber knocker, so to say. Could be with a little asterisk on the could be. But like you fellas were saying before, I mean, both of these guys, I give it to the second round for them to be pretty much winded for the most part. With Greg Hardy's rookie year going 2-2 with one no contest, and De Castro having some type of steam moving forward, especially with his knockout win over Junior Tafa in his professional debut in UFC. Slobber knocker at most for the 25 seconds. After that, Greg Hardy's going down, man. Fuck out of here, man.
I just want to say this about Greg Hardy. He took a big step up in competition his last fight. So
Yeah.
He slimmed down. He slimmed down a lot, though.
So he looks good.
Yeah, he took a fight against a really tough guy for short notice. So it could wind up that experience helps him out, but I still don't think he's going to win this fight.
I'm sorry, fellas, man, but,
Don't apologize.
Other than the fact that, you know, he is a former Dallas Cowboy and I am a New York Giant fan, you know, but there should be no place for domestic violence in society these days. So that's already a blemish on not only his professional life, but his personal life as well. And I don't roll with that shit, man.
Now, what does the analytical team think of that?
The analytical team. Hold up. Let me call in real quick. Actually, the numbers heavily favor Hardy to lose this fight. 200.
Shout out to my boy Justin Taffa. I know Eddie just mentioned him before, but that kid is he got some hands, man. He's going places.
Yeah, absolutely. I think did he fight?
Yeah,
did
he
win us
fight
money?
that card. He fought in that card that we won that huge parlay.
He won us money.
He did. And I
Shout outs to
told
Taffa.
you guys, first round knockout, Justin Taffa. Don't sleep on him, and that's exactly what he did.
Parlay coming later on in the show.
Oh
Yes. So, next fight we have in the featherweight division. We have Jeremy Stevens versus Calvin Kattar. I think this one's going to be very simple, my reasoning. I think it's going to be a passing of the torch. Jeremy Stevens, he's been around for a minute. He's been fighting since 05, 15 years. In the fight game, that's like 30.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He's been around for a minute. And not to take anything away from him, very talented, very good fighter. His hands are ridiculous. This guy, Calvin Kattar, is the next big thing. Very talented. I have him by decision. There's not much more to it. I just think Stevens is done. He hasn't won a fight since 2018. And I got Kattar.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. You know, Stevens has fought in 46 fights, 46 matches. He has a lot of mileage. Calvin Kattar he kind of reminds me of a younger Jeremy Stevens where, you know, he's never in a boring fight. He's going to go out there, throw a million strikes, just try to outnumber you when it comes to significant strikes and total strikes. And he's always going to keep the pressure on you. So like Brian said, this is going to be a passing of the torch. It's going to be a barn burner. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a close fight and an entertaining fight. But I just think that Calvin Kattar is going to outwork him. He's going to land a lot more strikes than Stevens is going to be able to land. And I don't think he's going to knock him out because Stevens has a very good chin and he's been in a lot of wars. But I think Calvin Kattar by decision, pretty convincing decision, is a good bet.
I got Kattar, third round knockout. This is gonna be a close fight. I think Kattar's gonna stay on the outside, pick him apart with the boxing. Stevens can very easily. Kattar likes to plot sometimes. There's a little bit of a weakness. He likes to sit there, so Stevens can pick him up apart with the leg kicks and keep it a close fight. But ultimately, I think his boxing is gonna be too much. Kattar, and he's gonna knock him out. Kattar just lost his last fight to Zabit, which is no small shortage at all. So I think he's going to catch Stevens. I think just all these wars are going to catch up to Stevens sooner or later, and I think he's going to get knocked out. Listen, Stevens is what the best of the best. If you look at his resume, it's insane. So he's a tough guy, but I think, like everybody's saying, passing of the torch, Kattar, third round knockout.
Passing of the torch, wow. You guys really think so, no?
Yep.
I don't know, man. I mean, I do have Calvin Kattar coming out of the gates going pretty hard for this one, you know, just to prove a point, put the foot on the neck, and just, you know, really force Stevens into, you know, to really venture out into other things for his future. But, I mean, as far as Jeremy Stevens, man, he's been a fan favorite for years now. If I'm not mistaken, at least 12 years now. In that case, as far as like 12 years being with the UFC, he's got a lot of shades of Cowboy Cerrone in himself as well, too. I mean, 12 years is a long time with one company for any company in life. But Stevens does have a long drought as far as being in a fight himself. So I do have Kattar winning this one.
All right. Nice. All right, guys. It's time for the big boys. And I mean the big boys.
Oh,
This is it. This fight has been anticipated for a while. These guys are on a collision course, and it's finally happening. So we have Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Francis Ngannou. So this was one of the fights that I had the hardest time with. I got to be honest with you. I was very back and forth. Rozenstruik, this guy, he kind of came out of nowhere. He was under a lot of people's radar, but he's undefeated at 10-0. And the thing you got to look out for with this guy is his jab. His jab, it looks like nothing, but these guys go down. He has 2 wins back-to-back that are off of this jab. He fought Alan Crowder and Andrei Arlovski. Obviously, Arlovski's been in the game for a minute. His chin is nothing like it used to be. But this guy throws the jab and people drop. His most notable win was that Alistair Overeem fight, which he was losing. He was losing the entire fight. And at the very last minute, he knocked Overeem's lips off of his face, literally. One of the most highlight reel knockouts.
Kind of Stefan Struve-esque when Stefan Struve on his lips.
Struve ripped his lips off.
It wasn't his mouth guard. It was his lips. But speaking about Overeem knockout highlight reels, Francis Ngannou has possibly one of the greatest knockouts in the history of UFC. I swear to God, I thought he broke Overeem's neck. I have Francis winning this fight by TKO. Either KO or TKO. I think he's going to finish him. I really do. I've been watching videos. He looks a little leaner. I think his gas tank is going to be on point. We haven't really seen any ground game from Francis. I know there's always a possibility for things, but I think he's definitely, I think he has more power than Rozenstruik. And I see him TKOing Rozenstruik.
Well, I'm just going to come out and say it. Francis is winning this fight. You know, Rozenstruik was losing to Overeem, like Brian said. He was actually losing pretty bad to Overeem, getting picked apart. And I just think Francis is the much better all-around fighter. He also has a 5-inch reach advantage. You know, so I know you were preaching about Rozenstruik's jab, but how good is the jab going to be when he can't reach the other guy who's also jabbing him back? So, you know, Francis is the bigger fighter, the quicker fighter, probably the more powerful fighter. And I wouldn't be surprised if Francis tries to maybe even take him down, considering he has no ground game, and try to go for some type of submission. But that doesn't happen. Francis is knocking him out, and it's going to happen. You know, hopefully it's not one of those fights where they're feeling each other out for 3 rounds, you know, both of them being nervous and tentative. I don't think that's going to be the case. It could be, but I see Francis finishing this fight either by TKO, knockout, or submission. And
to touch on the submissions really quick, Francis does have that submission by Kimura, and it wasn't even a full deep Kimura. It was just his pure strength that made this guy tap out. So it is possible.
It's all about game plan. If his coaches, if his training camp told him that he needs to take down Rozenstruik and take advantage of the situation, it could happen. You know, it might be a smart move for him, considering, you know, how good Rozenstruik's striking is. So we'll see what happens. Possible. I'm taking Francis. Yeah, he was a kickboxer, so might be a good idea to take him down. But regardless, I'm taking Francis to win it.
I got Francis first round knockout. This is my lock of the night. I'm locking it in. This is my lock. I think Rozenstruik's style is going to bring the best out of Francis. I think he's going to come in, he's going to stand with him, and it's going to make Francis step his game up, and I think Francis is going to finish him early. Mid first round, I see the fight going. This is the 3rd time they were supposed to fight, and they booked this fight. So now they're finally here. This is a big fight. I think the winner is, if Francis wins, he's the #1 contender over Curtis Blaydes. If Rozenstruik wins, I think Blaydes gets it. So this is a big thing for the heavyweight division. Yeah. Once Steve and DC figure what they're doing out. But Rozenstruik, he's good, but he fought a guy like Reem, who's got good elite heavyweight striking. He was getting picked apart, ended it with that last knockout. I think Francis is not going to take that chance. I think Francis is going to try to finish him early. Rozenstruik, you don't stand with Francis and make Francis swing with you and last that long. So I think he's going to knock him out early. That's my lock of the night. Francis, first round knockout.
Good pick, brother. Good pick. Very good pick, actually.
My
But,
analytical team helped me with that.
oh, your analytical team. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Battle of the analytical teams on this one today, then. But I mean, as far as Rosenstrike, man, like let's not act like he didn't have a great 2019, man. I mean, the dude literally went from newcomer to top contender in his division real quick. I mean, saying that, I'm still going with Francis for this division anyways. I mean, these two, I mean, this is going to be a great fight, my opinion. Barn burner, slobber knocker, call it whatever adjective you want to call it. But these two are really going to throw it down on each other, man, so to say. I mean, literally, these two are literally the top contenders in the heavyweight division behind Cormier at one point. And as far as Francis, man, after rebounding from that loss by Derek Lewis some time ago, his next 3 wins were against Curtis Blades, Cain Velasquez, and Junior Dos Santos, all in a combined less than 3 minutes on all 3 of those fights. So, Francis, he's going to come a-knocking, man.
Very good. Very good. All right. That brings us to the co-main event.
Championship time.
This is it. This is the championship time. All right. So.
Oh, you said championship? Wait a minute. Oh, all right.
They haven't won one since Bill Walton was around.
It doesn't matter, man.
Bro, I believe you have a prop for the championship.
Yeah, so we're going to go Space Jam style right now. Remember that part in the movie where they all touch the ball and they get the powers back, right? So this is my championship pad right here, okay? So we're all going to put our hands up to the camera. We're going to feel the power, New Day style. Eddie, go for it. And we're going to win this money. So this championship pad will give us the champion's power. We're going to get that moolah, ladies and gentlemen.
Get this money.
Yes. So
straight
cash,
all those
homie. Man.
I'll get into who's on the pad later. All right, so
over here, man. Shit.
Co-main event time. All right. This was not the original fight. The original fight was Henry Cejudo versus Jose Aldo. That fight would have been incredible. Absolutely off the chain. We haven't seen Aldo fight for a championship belt in some time. And unfortunately, we're not getting it. But we are getting a suitable replacement. We're getting Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. I'm going to say right off the bat, I have Henry Cejudo winning this fight. I love Dominic Cruz. I do. He's a legend. But he's far past his heyday. I know he's always in fight shape, but on a month's notice, this guy's going to go up against one of the best in the world. Now, Henry Cejudo, he dethroned Mighty Mouse Johnson. He knocked out TJ. He also TKO'd Marlon Moraes. He's a triple champ. The guy's an Olympic gold medalist. He's incredible. The last time he lost was in 2016, and that was the last time that Dominic Cruz fought. The ring rust is going to be the game changer here, not to mention Cejudo's skills. So I have Cejudo. This is, I got to say, I think this is my lock for the night.
Yeah, and like you said, Dominic Cruz hasn't fought since 2016. That was 4 years ago. He's only fought 4 times in the last 9 years. Now we're talking back to 2011. He's only fought 4 times since 2011. So, I mean, Cejudo, double division champion, one of the best wrestlers and all-around fighters in the game right now. I don't see how Cruz could just come out of nowhere and just beat one of the best right now. The ring rust is going to be real. He's getting up there in age. He is the bigger fighter. He's going to have a height advantage or reach advantage. I'm talking about Dominic Cruz, of course. But Cejudo is just going to take the fight to him. He has to pressure him, and he's going to win.
I got Cruz. I got Cruz winning this fight.
Shocker.
Cruz is
biased. A little bit?
Cruz is my boy, not like my boy Patrick Mahomes. Shout out to Patty Mahomes.
Enough with the Mahomes, man.
Shout out to David the Enforcer Cohen.
Well, there it is.
Oh, there you go, brother. There you go.
I told you what happened.
I got Cruz. if I think Cruz is just his style is just gonna be too much for Cejudo. I think Cruz is gonna stay on the outside. Cejudo's reach is not gonna be able to get him. Cejudo's doing this new karate thing, which is working. He's knocking guys out, but it's gonna be tough for him, I think, to hit Cruz. Cruz is just so unorthodox. Listen, he can't. He last time he had a layoff, he went out there and he beat TJ Dillashaw. So in the 5-round fight, Cejudo did beat Dillashaw, but that's just Dillashaw coming down, cutting a lot of weight.
7 years ago that was, Gary.
Certain guys, listen, Cruz's mentality is he doesn't believe ring rust. Certain guys just don't get the ring rust. Cruz, he's proven he doesn't get the ring rust. Guys like Diaz, guys that stay in shape and don't think about it, they come out there. I think he's gonna come out. He's gonna be too much. I don't think he's gonna be too much for Cruz, for Cejudo, but I think he's gonna be unorthodox and striking, staying on the outside. He's gonna frustrate Cejudo. I think he's gonna pull away. He's gonna win this by decision. Also, another thing with Cejudo that nobody's talking about, he just came off a double shoulder surgery. Surgery that Paul George just came off of for the Clippers, and that's going to be a factor in there as well. How he's going to be. He hasn't fought in a little while either. So I think that Cruz is going to take it. He's going to win by decision. That's my pick.
Not a bad pick, Gary. Really not a bad pick. I was honestly leaning towards Cruz myself, actually. Never mind the long layoff and whatnot, man. But the fact that Dominic Cruz has an opportunity to go for a third title run on this one. Not just going for the third title win, but having an opportunity to win the belt for a third time, joining only Randy Couture if he was able to do this. I mean, like you said, Pete, injuries has really fucked him, though, man. Really fucked him over. But I think he's got the momentum and the mental state to really come out and just, show him. Just show him, man. Both of these two fighters are real good, man. Cejudo, too, man. Let's not forget he's entering a 5-fight winning streak as well, too. I mean, it's going to be a close – I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people would think. Again, the original fight was scheduled to be in Brazil with Jose Aldo, but goddamn, this is a great 1B for this card, man. I got Cruz winning this one, though.
Wow. All right. And that brings us to the main event.
Yeah.
All right. So –
let's go, baby. Let's go.
The fight that just will never, ever happen. It wasn't meant to be. Khabib and Tony. This is the 5th attempt. I mean, it's just – I gave up on it. I got to be honest with you. I had people texting me, casuals, is this fight going to happen? Is this fight going to happen? With everything going on with COVID-19, Dana White assured everyone this is going to happen. We promise it's going to happen. Khabib stuck in Russia. It's never going to happen. Never. I'm just saying it now. We're getting Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. Now, I've been watching Justin Gaethje since WSOF, since before the PFL was even called PFL. I've watched him for years. The guy's a monster. He doesn't care about getting hit. If you want him down, you got to kill him. Guy's unstoppable. And it doesn't hurt that he also hits like a Mack truck. But I have Tony Ferguson winning this fight. The guy is – I got to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of his. His personality just irks me the way he is, but – his skill speaks for itself. The guy's a monster. He's been training. He made weight for a fight that didn't even happen. He's insane. He really is. But I think he's going to win by TKO. I think he's going to pick him apart. Leg kicks, body shots. He's just going to pick him apart. I'm seeing a TKO in the 3rd round.
Yeah. That's wow. That's quite a prediction there. TKO 3rd round. Tony Ferguson, well, actually, Dana White announced earlier today that the winner of this fight is fighting Khabib, most likely on Fight Island, probably in the summer.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
No, I believe it. I believe it.
Not if Tony wins.
He'll schedule it, but if Tony wins,
it's not going to happen. The fight's never going to happen. It's cursed.
The murder hornet's going to sting Khabib.
Well, anyway, back to the fight. I see. Gaethje is an elite striker. He has a lot of power and underrated leg kicks too.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably going to use against Tony Ferguson to try to, throw him off his game a little bit. Both of these fighters are going to take a lot of damage in this fight. They're both going to take a lot of damage no matter what. It's going to be very intense, especially in the beginning. But Gaethje took this fight on short notice too. So he hasn't really had a full training camp for this. Ferguson is always ready. He's a workaholic. He's always ready to fight. I'm going to go and say Ferguson is going to win this by submission. He is going to get Gaethje to the ground and submit him somehow, some way. It's going to happen, but that's my pick.
Yeah, I got Ferguson also by submission, third round submission. I just think Tony is he's on a little bit on another level than Gaethje right now. I think Tony's been training. He's been the only guy really on this card that's consistently been in a training camp through all this madness. And everybody says Tony trains by himself normally. So he's used to all this. He like we said, he cut weight for no reason to Khabib. And the main thing is Tony is looking at this like Khabib's the end goal. So he's going to do everything he can to get to Khabib. He doesn't want Conor. Khabib's the guy. So he's not letting anybody get in his way. I also think if Tony fought Khabib, he beat Khabib. So Tony's on that way to get to that shot. And he knows he has to win this fight to get there. So I think that's going to motivate him enough. He's been in a training camp. He's one of the best fighters pound for pound in the world. This is a fight of the year candidate it's going to be. This is going to be fight of the night, most likely. I got Tony, third round submission. He's so unorthodox. I think he just drops Gaethje, gets on top of him, and puts him in one of his crazy submissions.
Good shit, man. Good shit. I mean, for this fight especially, I think it's hard to go against Tony Ferguson in this one as well. I mean, considering, like you said, Brian, how many times have they tried to have
Five
versus 5 times already? So I think that's really going to be his main motivation to really win this one, to maybe somehow finally get to the promised land and fighting Conor, man. Yeah, I mean, it's got to happen, man. It's really got to happen. Tony's got a pretty good track record right now as well, too. I mean, he hasn't lost a bout in over 8 years, which could hurt him in the ass a little bit if he tries to take a little, go a little soft on JG a little bit.
Fun fact, actually, the last time Tony Ferguson lost a fight was a decision against Michael Johnson. We were there, actually. It was in New Jersey, I believe.
Yeah.
Jersey.
Nate Diaz, the main event. Shout out to Nate Diaz.
Diaz
We were on, I think we were on – that was a really good card. We got to meet a lot of fighters, too. But I'm sorry for interrupting you, Eddie. Go ahead.
No, you good, brother. You good, man. Good insight right there. JG, he's a beast as well, too, man. 3 straight first-round stoppages as well, too. So, both of these guys really have a little cookie crumb in their shoulder to wipe off, so to say, anyways. So, but my personal opinion, the fans want to see it. I want to see it. All 4 of us want to see it eventually. So I think it's a safe bet to say deep down in our hearts, Tony, you are my guy for this one, man.
Is that the analytical team pick also?
Actually, no. That was straight from the corazon right there, man.
Oh. All right.
Great pick, guys. Let's real quick, everyone give their lock of the night and upset of the night. Just for the record, Brian, start it off.
All right. For my lock of the night, I said it already, Henry Cejudo. And my underdog, as I also said, Nico Price. He's winning it.
All right, Gary.
My lock of the night, Francis Ngannou. And my underdog of the night that I'm most confident about, Dominic Cruz.
Lock of the night, Francis Ngannou. And upset of the night, Jorgen De Castro. Greg Hardy. Eddie, what is your upset of the night?
Upset of the night. You know what my upset of the night is?
Karate Hottie.
If De Castro loses, that's my fucking upset right there. Fuck out of here. But
Hottie.
What the what?
Karate Hottie. Shout her out.
Karate Hottie. We love you, baby. I'm rooting for you.
She's a friend of the pod. She will be.
Nah, but my solid pick of the night though, man, Dominic Cruz, man. Dominic Cruz.
That's your lock.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, guys. We're going to come back with our parlay in the core four right after this. All right, guys. Welcome back. We're going to give our parlay picks, and we're going to give our core four for tonight's episode. He's going to explain the gentleman's parlay.
All right, guys, this is the gentleman's parlay. It's a 4-fight parlay, so nothing crazy. And we think this brings the most value and the most chance to win. So the 4 fights are Tony Ferguson to win, Waterson to finish the fight either by TKO submission, so that's a double chance. You got to choose that. Calvin Kattar, double chance to win by TKO or decision. And Francis Ngannou to win TKO or submission, double chance. If you bet $100, you'll win $3,000. So that is our gentleman's parlay. 4 fights. I think it's a pretty good chance to hit.
Straight cash homie. So now we're up to the core four portion of the show. In today's core four, we're going to stick with the UFC theme, and we're going to do our 4 favorite fights of all time.
Now let me just break this down. This doesn't mean it's the best fight, the most entertaining. These are the fights that have had the most impact on us as fans.
All right, so I'm going to randomize the order of our draft. All right, as you can see, there's our names, and let's randomize.
Random.org, right? Yeah.
So first pick Gary, second pick Eddie, third pick Ryan, and last pick me once again. Great.
When am I ever gonna get 4? Jeez.
Ooh, I go first.
All right, Gay.
All right. I wasn't expecting to get first pick, so
I wanted it.
I'm going to go with one it's really not even that recent anymore. It's crazy how time flies. But I'm going to pick one for one of my favorite fighters. I'm going to take Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor 1. Just for the fact that Conor was the star, he still is the biggest star. It's not even close. Conor's the man. But he was on his highest of highs. Nate came in, 10 days notice, and came in, won the fight. Conor was picking him apart that first round. I can't lie. Conor was killing him that first round. Nate came in that second round and subbed him. It was one of the most exciting fights of the year for a round and a half. But I'm going with that. It was Nate Diaz's coming out party. People like I was a big Nate Diaz the guys. I've been a Nate Diaz fan forever. But that was his coming out party and made him as big a star as he is today. So my first pick is Nate Conor 1.
That was crazy fight.
He was a big underdog that night, Nate Diaz.
Yeah. Eddie, what is your number 1 pick?
Oh, that was I don't know why I didn't come up with that one first, to be honest with you. But I'm going to go real old school, back in our days, 05, 06, well, maybe a little.
07-ish.
Yeah, 07-ish, so to say. I'm going to go with Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz, man.
Oh, Gary.
Which one? Which Chuck Tito fight?
The first one. I got the first one. UFC 47, man. Can't deny the bad blood between those two. Then, now, and probably forever. Who knows, man? But a lot of people had Ortiz winning that fight, but Chuck Liddell came over and said, "Oh, Bugatti." Like, yo, it was nasty, man. Like, it was nasty, man. But that was definitely up there. It was what was it? It was 3 or 4, was it? Between the two of them.
2 that we count. The third one was stand to watch.
Yeah, the third one we don't talk about.
Yeah, the third fight.
Tito got the third one, right?
Yeah, come on. Yeah. It's like 2 old drunk guys fighting outside. Like, come on.
It's one of those fights where if you was to go hang out in Sunset Park, just go over and chill over by 46 and 4th, and you got a better fight than the third one, to be honest with you. Ridiculous, man. But yeah, man, taking it down memory lane on my first pick.
That was a good pick. It's a classic pick.
Mhm.
Everyone saw this coming from a mile away. My number one, I got to go Lesnar versus Mir 2 at UFC 100. Sorry, Pete.
Come
I'm
on.
sorry.
Motherfucker, man.
Come
Damn
on.
Sorry.
it.
Everyone who knows me knows I'm a big wrestling guy, and I was always a big Brock Lesnar fan, still am to this day. There's no other athlete like him on earth, and I stand by that. To see him make his debut and lose the way he did, I'm talking to you, Steve Mazzagatti, all right? Yeah, so to see Lesnar get his revenge on Mir and the way he did it, Frank Mir's face, it didn't look like him at the end of the fight. So I got to go Brock Mir too.
Terrible. Terrible.
All right.
All right, so I got 2 picks here. My first pick, we're going to take it back to 2011, back in the heyday, in my opinion. Dan Henderson versus Shogun Rua, UFC 139.
Great fight. Great fight.
UFC 139. I think it actually happened on my birthday that year.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the first 5-round non-title fights.
I think it was the first.
I think it was the first, right?
It was the first. I wrote that as a note because that was on my list.
Yeah, the first 5-round non-title fight. And you couldn't ask for a better 5 rounds, man. There was multiple drops, back and forth action. Just one of the best fights I've ever seen. Henderson ended up winning that decision. But it was one of the best 5-round fights I've ever seen. And that's my pick, number 1 pick. My second pick is actually going to be a little more recent, actually a couple months ago. UFC 248, Weili Zhang versus Joanna.
Yes.
That was great, man. That was great.
Fight.
What can I say about that, man? They showed everyone how to put on a great fight that night. Joanna did not even look like herself. She had that giant freaking forehead, just nonstop action, back and forth. Weili ended up winning that decision, but once again, another action-filled 5 rounds. One of the best fights I ever saw.
That was, I would say, the greatest women's fight in history.
Absolutely.
Well, not even close.
Absolutely.
For my second pick, I'm taking it back to UFC 117. This night, I will never forget. We're at Justin J-Man Suarez's house. Shout out, Ariel.
You said UFC 117?
117.
I know which one this is.
So, all right, this fight cemented why this guy is one of my favorite fighters of all time. And I'm talking about Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva, the first one. We don't talk about the second one. Now, this fight, up until that point, no one had seen Anderson Silva lose pretty much a round. And we were getting to that point where some fights he was putting on these antics. I remember the Damian Maia fight. Dana White he wanted to fire him because of his stupid antics in the ring. And he was just getting weird. Chael Sonnen, I got to be honest, I didn't know much about him going to the fight, but I knew a whole lot about him after the fight. This guy beat the crap out of Anderson Silva for 5 rounds. In my opinion, he won the fight. If it's a fight and you're getting beat up for 5 rounds, 25 minutes, you lost the fight.
You got choked out.
Yeah, no. He didn't tap. But yeah, that fight it still, and I just remember a lot of these fights. It has to do with who you're with and the experience. And I remember watching it with the guys, and it was absolutely incredible watching it happen. And I'm pretty sure we were all rooting for Chael at that time.
I was.
Mm-hmm. I was too.
All right,
Eddie, back to you. Second pick.
Well, thanks a lot, guys, for taking 2 of my fucking 5 picks anyways, man. Jesus. But again, I'm gonna go back a little while. I'm taking it back to UFC 107 for my pick on this one, and I'm gonna go with BJ Penn versus Diego Sanchez.
Great fight! Great fight.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
That was a great. I love that fight.
I'm sorry to say this again. Please don't sue me, Jim Ross, but this was a fucking slobber knocker, man. This was
Ross
really
is a dick.
man.
Yes.
Stop it, man. Stop it. But man, the whole doctor stoppage towards the end of the fight, man, it got a little brutal, bro. It really did.
He was all bloodied up.
All right. I got 2 picks here.
Yep.
All right. So besides the Diaz brothers, my all-time favorite fighter, Chuck Liddell. So since Eddie took the original Chuck Tito, I want to go Chuck Tito too because it was for the belt, but I'm not. I'm going for one of Chuck's most anticipated fights, was Chuck versus Wanderlei Silva at UFC 79.
Yeah.
I remember the anticipation for that fight for years, and they finally did it. And everybody was wondering, are they washed up? Because Chuck was coming off a couple of losses. Wanderlei was coming off getting knocked out by Henderson. They delivered like two legends. They went out there, and they were swinging for 15 minutes. It was a great fight. It was an exciting fight. And that's why I love Chuck Liddell. He's my all-time favorite fighter because he goes out there to put on a show for the fans, what it's all about. Chuck, Wanderlei, UFC 79, that's one of my picks. And going back off of what Brian said, I'm taking a fight that was a great fight and the experience of it also, watching it with the crew. I'm taking Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard 2.
Mm.
No.
That fight, I remember because we ordered every card and we all chill and order the card. And going into that, we were like, it's gonna be a good fight, but like the card wasn't like stacked. Like it was an underrated card. It was a lot of up and coming guys.
2 was the draw?
2 was the draw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going into that fight happened, we were standing the whole time, going crazy watching it. People were just jumping off couches. We were losing our mind. We didn't even think about what it was going to be, and it wound up being a draw. And I just remember that fight was so exciting. Everybody was at the edge of their seat the whole time. Frankie getting knocked down twice, coming back and knocking Gray down. They just kept going. It was a great fight. That's how championship fights should be. So those are my 2 picks.
Yeah, that was insane. I remember that.
All right,
Not bad, brother. Not bad, brother.
This is me?
Oh, no.
Eddie.
Eddie's
Is
done.
me or? All right. So, good thing I've got some extra backup fights over here too, man. But I'm gonna go with this is pick number 3 for me.
Yeah.
All right, my 3rd pick. I'm gonna go back to that phenomenal UFC 100 card, and I'm gonna just recollect a little bit because part of me, I could say I kind of missed that show, The Ultimate Fighter, a little bit though.
I know where you're going with this.
Oh, yeah.
I know where you're going with this.
It was
Infamous.
it was so entertaining, bro. Like I swear to God. But since you know where I'm going with this,
Yeah.
Let's do it.
is on The Ultimate Fighter. I'm going with fucking Henderson versus Bisping, man.
One of the most brutal knockouts I've ever seen.
Oh,
my
fuck.
God.
It came out of nowhere, dude. Oh, man, dude. Oh, man. Ice cold, man. Ice cold.
I thought Bisping was dead that day. I really
He looked
I
at it. He was
really
stiff.
thought he was.
It was scary.
The whole crowd eruption and everything after that fucking thing happened, man. Like it was unreal.
It's a
It
good
was
pick.
unreal. It was Ric Flair-esque, so to say, Gary.
It wasn't overrated like Ric Flair is.
Oh, stop it already.
Gary,
Agreed.
Gary, stand up for a second. Stand up.
Well, what's wrong?
Sit
Go
down.
ahead and take a seat, Gary. Go ahead and take a seat.
He's
Yeah.
Ryan,
overrated.
you're on the clock. Let's go.
All right, here we go. So this is actually connected with the last fight, but not in the way you think. And like I said, it's all about the memories. I'm going back to UFC 162, the night that the King was dethroned. Chris Weidman versus Anderson Silva, the first fight. I will never, ever forget this moment in my basement where I'm in right now. The guys, we were all here, and we acted like we had won the World Series. We were jumping up in a big bear hug, jumping up and down. No one had ever seen that happen to Anderson Silva. And the way that it happened, he got knocked out by Chris Weidman, local guy. This is when he was on his way up. We were all really big on him. And it was like
Speak for yourself. Anyway, so
it was the Rocky Balboa moment. And it's something I'll never, ever forget.
Yeah, that was definitely on my list.
I forgot it a long time ago, man.
Crazy
I heard he went
knockout.
to Muscle Maker Grill a lot before that fight.
All right, so I am on the clock with my last 2 picks. Now, everyone knows how big of a Frank Mir fan I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's I don't need to say it anymore. I could easily pick Frank Mir's fight against, Lesnar, UFC 81 when he knee barred him. I'm not going to do that. I could easily pick Frank Mir's fight, UFC 92 when he knocked out Big Nog. I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that either. But what I am going to choose for Frank Mir,
I know,
is his second fight against Big Nog. Actually,
I remember that.
His second fight.
Remember how we watched that?
Huh?
Remember how we watched that fight?
I think we streamed it or something, right?
Yeah, I had
Gary's.
pneumonia. I had pneumonia, and you guys were at Pete's house. We streamed it.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna go Mir Sylvia.
No, that's also a very good fight. Broke his arm, all that. But UFC 140, the rematch, after knocking out Big Nog, they had a rematch, and Big Nog actually tagged Frank Mir. He looked like he was almost out cold. He dropped. Big Nog dropped him. Frank Mir dropped to the ground. Big Nog was hammer fisting him. It looked like at one point Frank Mir was actually knocked out cold. Mm-hmm. Then Big Nog was on the ground grappling with him, trying to get him into a submission. And then out of nowhere, Frank Mir just completely sweeps him, gets on top of him, and then Big Nog sweeps him again. And they just kept sweeping each other on the ground. And then out of nowhere, Frank Mir grabs a Kimura, breaks Big Nog's arm off of his body, and one of the best comebacks I've ever seen. It was such an amazing fight. So that
arm break was pretty fucking
brutal.
sick.
Yeah, he beat Big Nog at his own game, and that's what the most impressive point of that fight was.
That was his most impressive fight.
Yeah, without a doubt. So that's
Frank Mir was great, man.
That's one of my picks, and for my last pick, I'm actually going to go a little fun here. This fight really didn't mean anything to me, but it was a crazy fight to watch. I'm talking about Pat Barry versus Czech Congo.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, Pat Barry.
Czech Congo pretty much knocked out Pat Barry. Pat Barry resurrected from the dead and knocked out Czech Congo, and that was it. Quick fight, entertaining fight, but I was just –
it was the other way around.
My mouth was open for like an hour after that. I couldn't.
That was here, right?
That was at Gary's house. Yeah.
That's
what we did the cribs. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my final two picks. Brian, you're up.
All right. I'm going to save my fun fight for the honorable mention, but my number 4 fight, this is the first fight that I ever remember calling exactly and getting it right. And this goes all the way back to 2008. I'm sorry, Gary, but it's Rashad Evans versus Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
That was a good fight, man. Good, yeah, man.
Not for Chuck. I remember watching
this.
It
was a terrible fight. What are you talking about?
It's a good fight, man. I'm a big Rashad Evans
knockout.
And stop it.
It was a good knockout. But
look like him.
I was always a big Rashad guy from The Ultimate Fighter. He was the smallest guy in the heavyweights, and he won the whole thing. The guy has so much talent, and then he started making his way up. And he fought who at the time, it was towards the end of his good run, but Chuck was still considered to be very dangerous. And to knock him out the way that he did, still to this day, is one of my favorite knockouts ever. It's like highlight reel is such an understatement. And he knocked him out. I called it that night, I said, and I'll never forget it.
I forgot it pretty quickly.
Gary has PTSD from that night.
Oh, yeah.
Call Strictly. Call my way.
Yeah.
All right, Eddie, your last pick. Let's hear it.
All right. I really thought about it, and I'm surprised none of you guys have actually had a fight with this dude in it, though, man. Always been a fan favorite, and Brian, technically he made it to your bachelor party, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Pete. Pete.
Way to hit Brian.
Pete. Oh, that's right. My bad, man.
He'll be at mine too, though. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure he would, man. But I'm going back to UFC 58 with GSP and BJ Penn on this one, man.
Wow, good.
Yeah, man. At the time, both of them being touted as 2 top contenders, man. They had, GSP run was so fucking great, though, man.
You can make an argument BJ Penn won that fight.
Yeah, you could, though. Man. But, the grappling, the skills, all that shit. It was definitely showcased that night, my man. Penn, actually, at the time, was thought to be the favorite for this one as well, too. So, I mean, he outclassed GSP on the feet and broke the Canadian's nose, for fuck's sakes, man. Like, they got a little, nervous, so to say, but somehow, GSP being GSP, man, he came out with that, man. He came out with that.
Sometimes people forget just how good BJ was at one point.
Yeah. He's the greatest lightweight of all time.
He was my favorite lightweight of all time.
All right.
Gary, guys pick?
I'm sticking with the theme of the memories. For the most part, we were all together for these fights. I'm going Randy Couture versus Big Nog. And first of all, it was a classic fight between two of the all-time great heavyweights. So I remember when they both got each other to clinch, and they were just swinging at each other back and forth. But the eruption in my house at that point, like people grabbing chairs and slamming them, it was like we were there. And I also remember the crowd was so into that fight. It was in Portland. It was where Randy came up training with Team Quest. That was such an exciting fight. And it was the two legends going out there, kind of like Chuck and Wendley, and just going at it. And I remember how into it we were for that. It was such a great card. So that's my fourth pick. Another one that almost made it, BJ Penn versus Joe Big Daddy Stevenson. Just for the fact that it was the first time the four of us put together for a fight.
Yeah. I want to throw out my honorable mention. This is a fight that should have never happened. Still to this day, it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And I'm talking about James Toney versus Randy Couture.
That was terrible.
There was no reason James Toney should be in an octagon, and Randy Couture shot the worst takedown I've ever seen in my life. He took him down by his ankles, and it shouldn't have happened. But nonetheless, a little memorable.
I just want to give my two honorable mentions. They didn't make my list, but nonetheless, they were great fights. First one, the Tough 9 finale, Diego Sanchez versus Clay Guida. When that fight started, they ran at each other, just started throwing bombs.
I remember that.
For like 4 minutes straight. It was crazy. Split decision by Sanchez to win that, but it was such an entertaining fight. And also one other one I wanted to mention, because I personally went crazy when this happened, and Brian was very upset. When Lyoto Machida knocked out Rashad Evans.
Oh, my God.
UFC 98. I was so happy because I did not like Rashad, and I was a big Lyoto guy. And the way he knocked out Rashad was just like a work of art. It was amazing.
It was bad. Well, I didn't know we could say more than one honorable mention, so I actually have two more.
Well, these are not official. We're just
I know.
shooting the breeze.
Shooting the breeze.
Yeah, we're just shooting the breeze here. Insert logo now. And so I'm going Brock Carwin at 116 at Gary's house. That's the night that I almost threw his china closet out the window. I was so happy. Brock was getting the crap beat out of him the whole first round by Shane Carwin, this up-and-comer who had hands the size of cars. And he was beating the crap out of Brock. Brock gets up, second round, smiling, cuts on his face, smiling, comes out the next round, and he wins by submission. Who Nostradamus didn't see this coming. I'll never forget it.
It was the arm bar, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was arm triangle.
Arm triangle. Almost lost the china closet. That was a little scary.
And then my last honorable mention is something very recently. It was Derek Lewis versus Ilir Latifi, and we're gonna show some footage why that's my honorable mention. Big boy Derek Lewis, he won us some.
God.
So,
For the record, that fight sucked.
oh yeah.
But the result of it was very, very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, this sport is brought to you by Pornhub.
Put that up. Put the volume up.
What?
I don't even want to look at the screen.
Okay, hold on. I want to see.
For decision. All three judges score this contest 29-28
No.
for the winner by unanimous decision. Derek
Straight cash, homie. All right, guys, that's our big UFC 249 preview. Hope you guys listen to us and make the right decisions picking the fights. And I hope you guys enjoy the fights this weekend and want everybody to stay safe. And we might have a little something special planned for the fight, so we'll get back to you on that. Monday coming out, we're going to film the recap, and we're going to talk about the NFL schedule coming out, amongst other things. But always remember, we are the gentlemen.
And this is the
This is
podcast.
Podcast, baby. Let's make some money.
Shout out to East New York, baby.
Shout out David Cohen.
Davey boy, we love you.
Yo, from the start, I'ma finish it. Yo, and from the start, I'ma finish it. Cause I'm a running man on a mission. From the start, I'ma finish it. From the start, I'ma finish it. Yo, and from the start, I'ma finish it. Cause I'm a running man on a mission. From the start.